Hey everybody, welcome back to Video Game. Today I got a fun and exciting video for you guys today because a new demo just came out on Steam called Lady Dracula, and honestly, I don't cover many new Steam releases, even in the indie category. I just never find something that I really love enough to talk about in video format. It is quite rare, but honestly, Lady Dracula has everything I want, kind of harkening back to both the NES Castlevania games as well as Bloodlines on the Sega Genesis. And if you know me and you know the channel, I absolutely love some Castlevania goodness, so this was one that I wanted to play, and as I enjoyed it, I decided it would make a great video. For get far involved though, do me a huge favor down below, hit like and subscribe and ring that notification bell, definitely helps us out. And if you feel so inclined and want to support the channel, got a Patreon link down below as well. And just so you are aware, the demo is out now on Steam. I will leave a link in the description below and you can check it out for absolutely nothing. Also, the makers of this didn't send me the link, I just saw this on a news article and I figured, hey, I would give it a shot, and it ended up becoming a video. But anything Castlevania that is fun and has a good vibe is something I'm always going to be predisposed to, like something like a Metroidvania or even a classic 16 or 8-bit platformer. That is just basically my catnip when it comes to games, and I will say this one, from the look and the sound and the overall gameplay, minus some additions, definitely feels like something that could have come out on the NES. But you can clearly tell we have a little bit more power here. It might be an 8-bit style, but it definitely is pushing a lot more sprites and a lot bigger sprites than you would see on the Nintendo Entertainment System. Now, additionally, if you can't tell you are watching the footage, there is a mechanic in here that basically warps you or blinks you from one area to the other. There's going to be different power-ups throughout the game that are going to be contextual within the levels to allow you to navigate and move in ways that you wouldn't expect. But as we move on to this next area here, I am kind of jumping around and I'm not going to show you how the demo ends. That way you can have some fun with it yourself. But everything I'm seeing so far absolutely makes me want to pick this up when it is a fully finished product. And it's one of those things, we are so close to the spooky season. October is just basically 9 days away as of the recording of this audio. This is the type of stuff that I absolutely want to be checking out right now. And these skulls right here definitely have some Rondo of Blood vibes. And this kind of also feels like the village from both Rondo of Blood as well as Castlevania 2. If you stare intently, you can find inspirations from basically every single Castlevania game possible. And you will see there, I did take a death because I would say maybe a few things that could be adjusted when this actually goes to retail. You feel like you've kind of passed that guillotine, but the sprite has a little bit of a perspective trick and you actually can end up taking damage. It is a really small thing, but it's something I would love to see neatened up by a retail release. And as far as how much this thing is going to cost, I have absolutely no idea whatsoever. You will find out when I find out, because again, there's just something I popped on my computer from Steam because I had heard about it and figured, let me try it first and see how it works out. But I do just love this 8-bit aesthetic mixed in with more of the power and sprite size of something that you would see on a 16-bit console. And just like any Castlevania game, those stairs are both almost impossible to walk up and down. I'm sure that is by design, and also a little bit obscured in some of the areas. Now this is where the game completely pivots up from a classic Castlevania game into something slightly different, kind of feeling like Celeste, or at least Celeste Light. And I do love all of the damn just walking through that fire in the bottom of the screen. Kind of feels like they're going across the river Styx to end up meeting their maker. And as you get further inside as well, you're going to have to time these areas up. Not really like a rhythm game, but it's something if you want to avoid damage, you have to wait for the right opportunity. It's almost like Castlevania met up with Donkey Kong Country and the barrels in that game and kind of made a baby game out of it in all the best ways possible. But leave me a comment down below so far and you tell me, are the overall blink or warp mechanics doing it for you or not? Because I feel like it could be kind of a divisive situation as far as the gameplay is concerned. But I absolutely love this area right here. This blood flowing into the hourglass kind of feels a little bit like Bloody Tears from one of the Castlevania games, except as opposed to a statue crying blood, it is just blood running down from the hourglass. It has a very fun look, and I love that you can see the rain in silhouette as well. This game definitely has a lot of vibes going on and a lot of interesting art styles, and this eyeball right here coming out of what looks like a gigantic eyeball worm, that is just the type of stuff I want to see in a game, whether it's a modern game with modern polygon graphics, or if you're kind of playing around in that 8 to 16-bit era. It just has such a weird look to it. It's something that just comes across on the screen so incredibly well, and I would say all the colorways on offer here, the blues, the reds, the whites, and the greens, just look incredible, and they really do have that NES color palette going for them. And just so you know, I did turn off the CRT filter effect because it's one of those things that absolutely kills the entirety of the compression on YouTube, so it's one of those realities. If you want to use it, definitely do, but capturing it can be hard. But the soundtrack's a 10 out of 10, so listen, and I'll be right back with a lot more. Not only do I like the music and I feel like it really fits the game's overall theming and vibe, but I also like the juxtaposition between having that 8-bit art style and having a full modern soundtrack. Kind of feels a little bit like the MSU1 ports of stuff from the NES to the Super Nintendo that Infidelity does, as well as some other makers. Just kind of has that feel to it, where it's both relatable as well as completely incongruent as to what you expect to see on the screen and what you expect to hear coming out of your headphones or your speakers. But as we get further into the demo, definitely gets a lot more difficult in the platforming, and there are different difficulty modes. I just hit start, and apparently that defaulted to the 2025 difficulty, which is no knockback, but you can turn on full NES-style Castlevania knockback, and then you're going to end up taking a lot of deaths as far as falling into pits is concerned. And definitely not Medusa heads, but those are acting exactly like Medusa heads. The only thing I didn't see when I was playing this game, as far as enemy types are concerned that would be borrowed from Castlevania, would be the flea men, and that's totally fine. But I love that you can turn into this wraith and kind of just fly around the screen. You don't have any attacks, but it's kind of doing some shmup style platforming without actually being a shmup while it is in this mode. And I think that is a fun idea for something like a Castlevania style game. We have dozens upon dozens of awesome Castlevania clones, and I honestly don't really want to call them the clones, they're just kind of inspired by them. So giving a game a new mechanic, something different to do, really does go a long way to helping Lady Dracula stand out from the crowd, because the reality is this is a very popular genre, and a lot of us are still playing these games when they come out on modern platforms just because it's what we grew up with and we want to enjoy it a little bit more. But I'll give you a little look at the CRT filter in gameplay before I turn it up. You're probably going to get some compression artifacts because that snow is very difficult to compress because it's basically at random. But the nice thing is you do get the ability to turn it on or off, so you tell me, would you rather play with the CRT filter on or off? I would be curious. For me, it's pretty much an off on pretty much any platform. I just kind of like seeing the visuals because I think they are that good looking, but I totally get that developers want to put those old school filters in, and I would say Lady Dracula, with kind of the vignetting and warping on the edges and the snow, has a very distinct look when it comes to that. I think it does work out relatively well. This is just a fun demo so far, and I really am again looking forward to playing a finished product because this is kind of doing everything I want out of this genre. I like the characters, I like the art style, I like all of the level designs, and there is a lot of meat on the bone, pun very much intended, in this demo because I'm not showing you how it ends right now. But I'm going to do soundtrack sample too because again I really enjoy the music and how different it is than an 8-bit soundtrack, so go ahead and listen for 35 or so seconds. I'll be right back to talk a little bit more about the game. And again, I really like what the music's doing here. I like the sound effects being that 8-bit style with the music being more of a modern Redbook style audio soundtrack. But again, you tell me down below how you feel about that because I feel like this game definitely makes some decisions that some people are going to absolutely love and some people aren't going to like whatsoever. Some of these extra mechanics on the navigation and gameplay style might not rub some people the right way, and maybe that soundtrack is going to be one of those things you'd rather have an 8-bit chiptune kind of version to go along with it, but that is really a subjective thing because I think the music is incredible, but I'm sure an 8-bit soundtrack would sound just as good with the exact same orchestrations underneath it, because whether this is a modern soundtrack or if you went chiptunes, I love the beats, I love the melodies, and I really do think they work well for the game, so this is definitely one to watch as far as the future is concerned. And I'm not even really sure when this is coming up, but if I had to guess, it would probably be sometime in October, because it's definitely the type of game that's going to target that area, and I hope that the levels get even bigger and more difficult. But if you do want to play this one, I recommend maybe turning knockback on because it felt ever so slightly easy, but again, I just went with the default difficulty, and that's how it ended up working out of the box, because I always love doing previews with what the developers gave us as far as the stock settings are concerned. But any game that reminds me of Castlevania, Castlevania 2, Rondo of Blood, as well as Castlevania Bloodlines all in the same package is definitely something I'm going to be intrigued by, and knowing my audience, I feel like there's some of you out there that are going to want to play this one as well. If you have checked out the demo yet, leave me your thoughts down below. But we're done. I'm going to go fight Lady Dracula, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.